2021 sees the return of Hornby Magazine's Great Electric Train Show in Milton Keynes. With Whalley cancelled, this is billed as probably the biggest show of the year. So let's go and see some of the layouts on offer. We start the tour of the show on the top balcony, which was displaying some lovely 009 layouts, which unfortunately I didn't manage to film. But the other narrow gauge layout on display was this impressive SM 32 gauge World War I based layout, 4,000 yards. Here we see some shunting in action. There is some impressive detail in this layout. The soldiers standing around having a smoke, the barbed wire, and all the paraphernalia that is connected to the First World War. The layout even has its own soundscape. If you listen carefully, you can hear the big artillery guns firing in the background. Moving down to the first floor balcony, we stop at Fence Houses. This is a national coal board shed in the northeast coalfields during the 1960s. As we watch, National Coal Board number 52 brings in a small rake of loaded wagons and runs round to remove the brake van. There's a beautiful amount of detail on this layout. The lit signal, point rodding, and the majority of the locos are kit built and they look wonderful. We move from the northeast to London as we visit Rositer Rise, a 00 gauge layout set during 1955 to 1959. A suburban northwest London through station on the London Midland region, there is a London Underground blade platform and a London Transport depot.
Yeah, Maidenhead. You can't join us at Maidenhead. Yeah.
It's an impressive compact layout, but still seems to have a lot of action. Here we see some stock arriving into one of the platforms before paying attention to the view of inside one of the wagon works. An interesting insight. A push-pull service arrives into one of the platforms as we take a closer look at some of the detail on this layout. Next is Quron Magna and Swithland sidings, Hornby Magazine's latest project. Based on the Great Central, this 16-foot by 8-foot 00 gauge layout is certainly coming along and is sure to be another crowd pleaser when completed. Here, a Class 47 is passing through the sidings with a rake of vans. If you could. And so we reach the ground floor and start at Hooper's Aggregates. Hooper's Aggregates is a 00 gauge fictional aggregates facility based in Cornwall. Here we see a colas rail class 66 on a rake of auto ballast wagons crawling to a red signal.
Take it. Take it on red. Take it on red.
It then simultaneously moves off alongside GBRF's 66728, which is on a rake of Network Rail IOA wagons. A short while later, we see a First Great Western Class 153 departing the station. We take a brief glimpse at the aggregate end of the layout as a colas rail Class 37 slowly crawls through the chute, having its wagons loaded with actual ballast. Now we visit our first N-gauge layout of the show, Dentdale. Based on the settlement of Carlisle, this layout can be run in multiple eras. Saturday was chosen to be the 1960s, and the era is represented as two 9Fs pass each other in opposite directions. As a stopping service departs, we pan out to reveal the vast size of this impressive layout. The two viaducts and the rolling hillside really capture the look of the settled Carlisle line, and it really is an impressive sight. As the stopping service moves away, at the opposite end of the layout, a London Midland Royal Scot passes through on a crack express. final shot of the layout shows a Class 37 with brake tender holding a rake of rim wagons. Next is Hyde Lane Stabling Point. There's a Deltic about to move. I don't need to say anything else. Based on Healy Mill's yard, this depot has quite some character and it is a lovely little layout. With the Deltic departed, a British Rail Class 03 comes to take its place in the sidings. We move on to Little Burford, a charming O-gauge layout at just 18 foot by 2 foot, including its fiddle yard. This is an impressive size for O-gauge. The layout is based on the Great Western Severn Valley line, with a small waste station.
On a day, no rush.
Here, Class 14XX and also coach depart the station as a pannier waits in the loop line with some milk tankers.
So it's 18 foot overall, 12 foot.
The layout really shows that you don't have to be big to model in O-gauge, and there is a lovely amount of detail even in this small area.
That's what I've got.
There's even a subtle sound box playing in the background. Next we see an ex-London Brighton South Coast Terrier coming along the line with smoke jackets. This looks absolutely fantastic and was probably one of my favourite models at the show.
Obviously you can't see the joints, they're really good. Don't use paper, use it's alright, mate, just want to take a quick photo.
And after waiting for a clear road, the pannier and its 2 milk tankers finally depart Little Burford.
Hi Peter, how are you, mate? All right? Yeah. Good, good. Yeah, I'm okay so far. Hey, don't look at me, mate. Yeah, just fell off a swan.
I've got my first exhibition testing with my little bicycle.
Right, okay, all right. Yeah, just keep it simple is the best thing to do. Don't have, you're not playing paint at home.
Well, I've only just gone in and out like you, but
yeah.
It's the lighting on the post.
Okay, B&Q. Makes so much difference. The B&Q worktop lights, kitchen worktop lights.
Next is Wimborne Railway Society's double O-gauge layout of their hometown Wimborne, set between 1955 and 1964. Here, BR Standard Class 4 76069 approaches with small freight, as M15 King Arthur Class 30782 Sir Brian leaves with a light load of 5 coaches. The bank, bridge and river are one of my particular favourite parts of this layout. As the vast freight yard is being shunted, a Drummond 700 class arrives at the station with more wagons for the yard.
So we decided to finish it. What we should have done was put it on skip and start again. Well, you see, what's happening? People start starting.
And on our final view of the layout, we see another BR Standard 4MT 76079 depart the yard as an S15 class arrives on a parcels work.
So off it goes. And you don't need it. And what Chris will do now is bring that freight further up the line. And here's the parcels train on the up line.
We now move further north from Wimborne to the Somerset and Dorset country. Chilcompton is based on the tunnel of the same name, and unsurprisingly was inspired by one of the numerous photographs of this wonderful location. Here, one of the resident Somerset and Dorset Class 7F works a passenger train north towards Bath Green Park.
That was that beer that Grandad had last night,
Some pigeons flutter on the embankment as the peace is disturbed by foul of 4F 43875 on an engineering train heading south. A short while later, and another delightful 7F 53806 emerges from the tunnel on a freight on another southbound working. For what is essentially a tail chaser with no points, scenic-wise at least, it really is a delightful setup, and is quite pleasing to stand and watch the trains go by as if you were taking a step back in time and watching the real Somerset and Dorset all those years ago. Of course, no Somerset and Dorset layout would be complete without a summer Saturday special. Snorting up the Mendips with 2 locos on the charge. Here, Standard 5 MT 75072 and rebuilt West Country 34003 Plymouth run past. Dragonby is an N-gauge layout that is set near the East Midlands and the North East. But its origins stem back to when it was Acton Main Line in 1989. And the layout has then since transformed into what you see now. Its likeness to Acton's layout is spot on. And it goes to show that just because you like a certain prototype, you don't have to be rigid with what you run on it. There's plenty of action in this layout too. Here we see Azumas passing on the main lines as freights come into the yard and other locos are stabled at the various points around. We now move from the other side of the country, from the northeast to the northwest, and visit Arrowhead, a double gauge layout set in the Midland region. The time period is 1963 to 1968, before electrification towards Scotland on the West Coast Main Line had commenced. It is a seaside town on the northwest coast and is close to East Bank. After patiently waiting in the middle road at the station, a Jubilee leaves with a cement working. Here we see an overview of the town and station before the arrival of an Ivet 2MT on a local passenger service. You could certainly imagine yourself sitting on the sand as the waves lap at the beach and the trains pass by. A short while later sees the arrival of a Derby lightweight DMU. Our final shot catches the Ivet departing Arrowhead and continuing on its journey. Continuing with the West Coast theme, we visit Clifton and Lowther. This N-gauge layout is set in the 1960s. The beautiful track work you see is code 40, and it really does look the part. The layout also includes a working road system, as we can see here, with a van trundling along the country lanes. N-gauge is used to full advantage here to really show the landscape of the scene, and the detail is wonderful. Here we see a passenger working going in one direction as a freight comes past in the opposite. Next is a quick whistle stop at this 00 gauge North Cornwall Brewery, coincidentally called North Cornwall Brewery. It's full of detail and it's absolutely delightful to look at. A really stunning piece of work. There is certainly an impressive fleet of vans and lorries on display here. We are now in 1960s Western Region territory. This is new Kensal Green. It's envisioned as a support shed for the overcrowded Old Oak Common depot. This layout sees light engine moves come for a quick service before returning to Paddington for the next train. The relief lines at the front mostly see empty stock workers and local services, with the occasional freight or parcels. Here Castle Class 7007 Great Western runs light engine to Paddington as an empty stock working passes by towards Old Oak Common under the charge of 9411. Prairie Tank Loco 6137 moves a rake of suburban stock towards Paddington, as sister Loco 6159 heads away from the terminal. ex-GWR pannier loco 8763 comes to a red, awaiting a road into Paddington.
You'd like something like that, would you?
The train doesn't have to wait for long. A short while later, 28 XX Class 2851 runs tender first to Oldham Common. We now move along the western and in time. Set between 2010 and 2015, this layout showcases the final days of HSTs on the Great Western Main Line. Set in Somerset, on the main line between Westbury and Taunton, the layout boasts a virtual quarry, a station, with a bay platform for local service. Here we see, on the back of this HST set, Celebrity Power Car 43002, Sir Kenneth Grange, departing the station. DB Shanker Class 66 66068, still in its former EWS livery, passes in the opposite direction on a rake of empty IOA wagons. There's some great attention to detail as well. Along with the signals, we have the signal cabinets, TPWS grids, point motors, and even HST stop marker boards at the end of the platform. A short while later, and we see Freightliner Class 66 66546 pass on an MOD working. As in the opposite direction, a new GWR Class 800 IET 800004 Isambard Kingdom Brunel calls at Oak Road Station. We finish at Oak Road as the local service heads towards the branch line under the hands of one of GWR's Class 150/2s, Dear Muse, as another IET thunders through Oak Road. We move to the star of the show, Pete Waterman's Making Tracks West Coast Main Line. At 65 feet long, this layout is huge. It's been on display in Chester Cathedral between July 16th and September 3rd, and the Great Electric Train Show is the only appearance the layout will make away from the cathedral in its current form. The layout models Shrugber Tunnel, Sven Viaduct, Road Junction, Treen Cutting, North Church Tunnel and Watford Tunnel. The overheads are even fully tensioned so that pantographs can touch as the trains pass through. There was plenty of action on the layout, with the rolling stock representing anything that had been seen on the West Coast Main Line between 2000 and 2021. It was a wonderful display of trains. Reevy Road West is set in the BR Blue era between the 1970s into the 1980s in the northwest. It is operated by Bradford Model Railway Club, who acquired the layout in a very basic form back in 2015. The scenery has been improved, storage yard added, and the layout was converted to DCC. Here we see a Class 128 passing by on a parcels working. A short while later, the Class 47 passes in the opposite direction, its silver route denoting its most likely a Stratford loco, on a motor railway. The signals are mostly from absolute aspects and work with infrared sensors and are reset on a timer. Portsea is a 3mm gauge layout. 3mm gauge is more commonly recognised as TT gauge. I always felt it's a bit of a disappointment that this scale didn't take off. It's in my opinion the perfect size, as Portsea demonstrates. Portsea is set in the 1960s on the southern region and is a portrayal of the Portsmouth town and harbour stations. There were some wonderful layouts at the show, and here's a few clips of some of the other layouts that were on display. I hope you've liked this video. If you have, please click the thumbs up. This helps other people find this video. If you really enjoyed it, then please subscribe, where I do quite often try and put up model railway show videos, and if you're interested, my layout builds as well. Thanks for watching.